Good noon. It's the technical department being very happy about the note that she left me to be sure and say that. Um, and it worked. Good noon. Good morning for those of you that are still on morning time, and good afternoon for those of you that have moved into afternoon time, and just good day. I hope that you are having a good day. I hope that you've been having a good week. I hope that everything is coming together for you just as you always dreamed it might do. And just in case that isn't the truth for you right now, well, hopefully it will be at the end of the hour as we invoke the power and remember the presence within us. Good noon, Heidi. Yay! Happy that you're here. And it is a good noon, isn't it? It's a good day. The sun is trying to come out here in sunny Southern California. And we're going to just amp up the power a little bit and see if we can't and make that our reality. Heidi's been 2 days in the garden. Yay. Yay. That's a good thing. It's healthy, isn't it? Good day, Jennifer. Good afternoon, Kirk. Boy, the gang's all showing up. Yay. Yay. Happy for that. I have an opening thought for us. And if I can read my own writing, because I just wrote it and I haven't had a chance to rewrite it, if I can read my own writing, um, I'd like to say the words and then have you repeat it after me. So, if you would, you don't have to. I'll never know whether you do or not, but I'd like you to. So, let me say the words and then you repeat, and then I'll say the next words and you repeat, and I plan to keep it short, altogether short and short phrases so that you don't have to strain your memory. It's Memorial Day after all. So, if you'll just be with me and say with me, I am centered in spirit. I am centered in peace. I remember the power within me. I remember that I am blessed. Today, tomorrow, and always. And so it is. There. Now, centered in spirit, we are off to a good start because there's nothing better than being centered in spirit. That's my opinion, and I happily share it with you. Thank you, Heidi. I like seeing it typed out. That's nice. I'll try to do that for us next week. But I haven't quite gotten there yet. So, what's going on in your lives? What's going on in your world? Boy, there's a lot going on in the world, isn't there? There's a whole bunch going on in the world. And we're part of that. We're part of all of that. It's a good thing. So, we've done our little reading. You know, I mentioned this on Wednesday, but I'm going to mention it again because it really hit me at the time. But I was listening to someone, and I sure wish I could remember who it was, but I can't, who said, never has there been a time that has impacted the whole planet as this has. So if it's affected the entire planet, impacted the entire planet, don't be surprised if it has impacted you. You know, there's some of us who have been very fortunate and and haven't been infected by the pandemic, but we have been affected by it. All of our lives have changed. And I'm going to talk about this Wednesday, I think, because it just keeps booming in my head. But people are talking about a return to normal. And every time I hear that, I kind of go, ugh. Do we want to return to normal, to the old normal, to the way that it was? Because that would suggest we have learned nothing from the past year. And I think we have, at least I know a lot of you have, and I have, learned a great deal about ourselves, about our world, about life, and about spirit in the past year. And I don't want to return to a time when I didn't know what I know now. A lot has happened in the past year. A lot has happened in the past year. In our individual lives, in our communities, in our families, in the world at large. Certainly in our nation. And I would like to think that we have all learned something from all of that. And that the normal that created all of that is not necessarily a place we want to return to. Let us learn from this experience, please God, let us learn from this experience. And let us be brighter and stronger and more loving and more aware and more active, more involved, perhaps, in the world. Kirk, I'm real glad that granddaughter is still making Grandpappy smile. She's delightful, and she absolutely should do that. So, here we are, Memorial Day weekend. What are we remembering? What are we celebrating? Seems like a strange word. I subscribe to Quora, which at least twice a week I think I'm going to unsubscribe from, and then something kind of interesting catches my attention and I pay attention. I decide to leave it there a little bit longer. But people ask questions, and then experts or semi-experts or supposed experts reply to the questions. And sometimes the questions are really bright, and most times they're all tied up in the latest headline news and the royals. And sometimes they're just downright dumb. Yes, that's a judgment. I haven't gotten rid of that capacity yet. But one of the questions kind of caught me off guard this week because it seemed so out of place in the world. I'm not even going to tell you what the question was. I just find myself wondering why people don't think things through before putting them on the internet. We'll pick up on that on Wednesday. Why don't we? There. So those of you who show up on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock in this same place, I invite you to consider what you would like to leave behind in 2019 or 2020, and what you have learned in the past 15 months. You know, they keep talking about the pandemic as though it is completely over, and that kind of scares me, frankly. because there are a lot of places in the world where it definitely is not over. And if we're not attentive, if we don't pay attention to what we have learned, we could do it again, couldn't we? So, what have you learned? Here's my question for you for Wednesday. What have you learned in the past year that you want to take with you into the rest of your life? And what might your new normal look like? Stuff to think about. Please do. What would your new normal look like? And what lessons do you want to take with you into your new life, your new reality? Stuff to think on. Okay, so let me get on with what I was going to talk about today, and then we can chat some more. Okay? You know, we kind of, this is one of those holidays, like Valentine's Day is when it is. It's not a whole Valentine's week or month. It's well, sometimes it is. But it's a day on the calendar, and Christmas is a day on the calendar, and blah 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 blah. Anyway, Memorial Day is one of those we tend to think of as an entire weekend thing, don't we? It's a 3-day weekend, and we pretty much acknowledge the holiday all weekend long. But technically, tomorrow is Memorial Day. It is the last, or is it today? I lose track. Tomorrow's the day we get off, so I guess that's the one that counts. Anyway, this weekend is set aside to honor our heroes. Originally and specifically, those who have died defending this country in our various wars. All over the land there will be ceremonies to honor those who have given their lives for freedom. Flags will fly and flowers will be laid and tears will be shed. And grateful words will be spoken over graves that are hundreds of years and hundreds of days and hundreds of hours old. Because sadly, some things never seem to change. And then we will go back to the living of our lives, perhaps a little sadder, maybe a little bit more patriotic. But not much changed by Memorial Day. For many people, this is just a day off. 3 days instead of 2 to escape the reality of the lives that they have created. An extra day to relax or to fire up the barbecue or to catch up or be with friends with or without masks. And to not think too much about the life that they will return to on Tuesday. So I've got a suggestion, because I think holidays should be honored. I mean, the word really does come from holy days, and holy days should be honored, and we should get something out of them, don't you think? So here's my suggestion. This year, change things. This year, do something different for Memorial Day. Instead of paying lip service to our heroes, step up and do what they did. Do something for the living. Do something for yourself. Remember what is important. This year, be bold for Memorial Day. Instead of becoming a couch potato, live larger. Reach out. Love largely. This year, take a leap of faith. Do something awesome. Believe deeply that you can, and then just do it. Just do it. Look, over the years, I've heard all the excuses when I've said something like that. Believe me, I have. One of the things I used to think about when we formed the reception line at the end of church at Spirit Works, when I had done one of my Just Do It talks, was I can't wait to hear what people are going to say and tell me why they can't just do it. I'd love to, but I have no support and I can't do it alone. I need help. Who will help me? I'm handicapped by my fill in the blank. I need a hand up. I need a hand out. I need my boss to. I need my friend to. I need my mommy to. I need my country to. Oh, I could go on, but I won't. JFK said, "My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." And he continued, drawing the circle even wider. "My fellow citizens of the world," he said, "ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man." Yeah, there's more to it than that first part. What we can do for our country, for the freedom of man, for ourselves, is to come off automatic. What we can do is listen to the voices of the past and learn. Not just listen to the voices that we have heard in the skirmishes and the battlefields of our lives. We've heard those plenty times, and we've memorized a lot of what's been said. But listen to the voices of those who would remind us that we have a responsibility to those who have given their lives to us. A responsibility for each of us to become what we might be, what they believed we could be. "200 years ago at Gettysburg, Abraham Lincoln reminded those who were present that although the country was engaged in a cruel civil war, a war which was testing whether this nation or any nation so conceived in liberty, and so dedicated to the proposition that all men were created equal, whether that nation so divided could long endure." There are people asking those same questions today. And I think perhaps appropriately. In Lincoln's time, they were met on a battlefield to dedicate a portion of it as a final resting place for those who had given their lives that the nation might live. And said Lincoln, "It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do that." But in a much larger sense, Lincoln declared, in a larger sense, the ground was already dedicated, already consecrated by the brave men, living and dead, who had fought there. "No," he said, "it is rather for the living to be dedicated to the unfinished work which they who fought here had thus far so nobly advanced." It was rather for the living to be dedicated to the great task remaining before them, that from the honored dead, the living take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That they who were alive should resolve that those who were being honored should not have died in vain, and that their dream, the dream of that nation to which they gave the last full measure of devotion, should have a new birth of freedom, and that with God's help it should not perish from the earth. There was only one thing that Lincoln got wrong that day. He said, "The world will little note nor long remember what we say here." But he pretty much got everything else right. And because he put it so simply, so eloquently, we do remember. And in our remembering, we should also remember that we do still owe a debt of gratitude to all of those who sacrificed everything. Today is specifically a day to remember them. Those who have given their wisdom, their love, their support, and their lives to our country. It's almost too large a promise to fulfill, too large a debt to repay. Too many wars, too many lives, too many names for us to recall. It's easier, I think, and perhaps more personally meaningful and maybe appropriate, to remember those who are closer to us, those whose names and faces are known and remembered by us, those in our lives who have given their wisdom, their love, their support, a portion of their lives, to the greater expression of our lives. We each have our individual heroes and heroines, those who believed in the work they did for us, those who believed that the giving of their time, their money, their energy, their love, their talent to our lives was worth the sacrifice. Those who believed deeply in the possibility of our success and in the greatness of our dreams. Those who showed us with their lives that they believed in us. It is, I believe, for us the living to be dedicated to the unfinished work which they thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us not to bemoan their passing, but to be truly grateful, to be dedicated to the task remaining before us, to the creation of the greater life of spirit within us. However they may have defined it, whatever they may have called it. Encouraging our talent, giving us a hand, that is what they believed in. That is what they fought for. And that is what we must remember. We have a debt to them. We have a responsibility to at least attempt to achieve that which they believed in. Can we do less than respond? See, it's not about dedicating our lives to building monuments to the lives of others, nor is it about attempting to create our lives in the image and likeness or opinion of someone else. A copycat life is not a life at all, and it will always be inferior to the original. British historian Robert Hewison said that if the only thing we have to offer is an improved version of the past, then today can only be inferior to yesterday. Hypnotized by images of the past, we risk losing all capacity for creative change. Doesn't that speak to what we were talking about before? If all we want to do is return to an old normal and maybe buff it up a little bit, then today will always be inferior to yesterday. And we are hypnotized, are we not? After over a year of things not being normal, then that old normal looks really good. We're hypnotized by it. But if we stay hypnotized by it, if we keep clinging to, I just want to return to 2019, then we risk losing all capacity for creative change. Too often our individual images of the past are predicated on what we had, on the battles that we fought and won or lost. And too often we have been devastated by the losses of those wars, or embarrassed by the gains. We need at some point to realize that our memories of our personal wars are too costly, because the price to be paid is our lives. In The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes writes, we must block out from the books of our remembrance any sense of lack, limitation, want, or fear of failure. And I'd like to add to his list resentment, frustration, hate, anger. We don't need any of those things. We must come to believe in ourselves as we have been believed in, both by man and by God. We must believe that we have promise and that we have power. We must believe that there is a perfect pattern within us that is ready to be revealed, and that it shall be revealed by creation through our faith. As we stop this weekend to honor those who have died, let us do so with a new dedication to life. Let us be large enough to let go of our fear, large enough to release our resentment, large enough to live up to the faith that others have had in us. Let us give to the world the best that is in us, in grateful remembrance of those who gave their best to us. Monuments are made of stone. And as we have seen in the past couple of years, can always be brought down. But the word memorial means something designed to preserve the memory of a person or event. Those who have given the best to the world will always be honored by memorials and remembrances. Let us love enough to remember the love that has been given to us, and love ourselves enough to forget that which needs to be forgotten. And let us love life enough to forgive that which needs to be forgiven, so that we have room in our hearts to be that which we may yet be, that which our honored dead believed in. What if we were to allow ourselves to be a living memorial to the power of faith, to the strength of love, to the spirit which they lived, to the spirit which dwells within each one of us? Let us live in remembrance of love, both human and divine. The French novelist Marguerite Yourcenar wrote, "The memory of most men is an abandoned cemetery where lie unsung and unhonored the dead whom they have ceased to cherish." Let our minds not be such an abandoned cemetery. Let us not be that forgetful. And at the same time, let us not litter the green fields of our minds with debris that is not worthy of our energy and dedication. Let us not build monuments to our wars and our losses, but rather let us build our lives as memorials to those who have stood with us, who have cared for us, who have believed in us. Let us be that which they believed in, that which they gave a portion of their lives to. Those angels who could only have been sent by God to teach us that life is holy, that God is good, that all things are possible if we only believe. If we remember them and their love, then somehow we become closer to a realization of how truly present God is in our lives. Let us build their memorial. Let us preserve their memory by being what they believed we could be. Do this in remembrance of them. Live largely. Love greatly. Believe deeply. I wanted to play a song for you, but honestly, I couldn't find it. And even if I could find it, I probably could not have played it because these mediums protect copyrights, and they make things go away if you specifically use music that they don't think you have a right to use. So I'd like you to listen to the lyrics of a very special piece of music. I first heard it sung on Memorial Day by a gentleman who we were honored to have as the music director at Spirit Works. He left this world in 1994, but he is remembered by many, both in our hearts and through his music. His name is Jerry Florence. He was the lead singer of a group he founded called Alliance. And the song that he sang is called "Carry Me Like a Fire in Your Heart." Those of you who were in the choir probably know it. So as I read the words, I'd like you to kind of hum along in your mind. While you are listening to the words, and perhaps hear the music once again in your heart, I'd like you to remember to bring to mind the heroes and heroines of your life. Those who gave a portion of their lives to you so that you could be what you were meant to be, so that you could become what they believed you could be. Please listen and remember, and build in your heart and your life a memorial, not a monument, to the love that was given to you. Hear this, if you will, as a prayer. is an answer. Someday we will know. And you will ask them why they had to go. We live and die, we laugh and we cry. And you must take away the pain before you can begin to live again. So let it start, my friend. Let it start. Let the tears come rolling from your heart. And when you need a light in the lonely nights, carry me like a fire in your heart. Carry me like a fire in your heart. There is a river rolling to the sea. You will be with them for all eternity. But we that remain need you here again. So hold them in your memory and begin to make the shadows disappear. Yes, let it start, my friend. Let it start. Let the love come rolling from your heart. And when you need a light in the lonely nights, carry me like a fire in your heart. Carry me like a fire in your heart. So let it start, my friend, let it start. Let the love come rolling from your heart. And when you need a light in the lonely nights, carry me like a fire in your heart. Carry me like a fire in your hearts. Do this in remembrance. Live largely. Love greatly. Believe deeply. And so we shall. And so we shall. So here we are, my friends. So here we are. I've been asked to post the questions, which of course I didn't write down, so if it comes out slightly differently, I apologize. Hold on. Yes, she can type. Okay, I think that's it. If that's not exactly what I said, feel free to correct me. I say so many things off the top of my head, and I don't always remember what I've said once I've said it. I'd call that channeling, but the word is kind of jippy. Great, Heidi. Don't feel at all bad about jumping the question. You might get some other people thinking too. I agree with all of you. These honored dead, Abraham Lincoln said. And I think, we can. That war in particular, because it was a civil war, and doesn't it sometimes feel like we're in another one? No more battlefields. We have been shielded in so many ways from the ravages of war, but not in that war, because it was all here, and it was brother against brother and friend against friend. I think, Heidi, in answer to your question, which is a good one, is that we can live freely. I mean, really live freely, not quash our ability to speak up, to speak out, to be a place where truth is. We can take our freedoms and use them, or we can just pay them lip service. How often do we not say what we think? Because we're afraid we're going to offend somebody, or we're afraid that we're going to look silly or foolish. That's a freedom. It's the first freedom of speech. And how can we make others feel privileged and free? By reminding them, I think, that they are free. That they don't have to be imprisoned or possessed. That they can love. We can in many ways love them into that, I think. Love's a very powerful word. It's a very powerful emotion, and it is a very, very powerful act. So let us love. If it is true that there has never been a time that has impacted the whole world as this one has, then what can we do to be a positive force? See, those who keep saying they want to return to normal, I think, have not looked around. I don't think there is any going back. In a lot of ways. Things said, things unsaid, actions taken, actions not taken. But I think it's important that we stop and remember and find out for ourselves, to think about what we have learned and who shall we be? Who shall we be? Who do you want to be? How do you want to do that? Big questions. Big questions. We'll talk about them some more on Wednesday, I think. Yeah, show it. You're on the right track, Heidi, as usual. Create an environment of freedom, of love. Love creates freedom. Khalil Gibran said, "Love possesses not, nor would it be possessed." because love is sufficient unto love. Love. And that's going to, for a lot of us, that's going to take some practice. Because love is not about being subjective. It is not about being selective. I'll love you and you, maybe not so much. If we truly are going to be love expressing, then we have to be love expressing. And that's something you are, not something you necessarily do, although it will absolutely affect what you do. I love you guys. You're pretty amazing. I could just throw questions out and let you discuss things. Maybe we'll do that. We'll set that up somehow. I like that idea. That may be yet another meeting time. Or just throw out a couple of questions and let you guys talk, and I'll take a break, and at the end of it, I'll close it out with a prayer. And I like that, an hour in which you do all the work. Good. Because you're good. You're good thinking, creative people who want to make a difference. I think we all are. We just don't all know it. Which is why, of course, I invite you to go back to those people who have loved you and had faith in you, and be grateful for them today as well. Those who have given parts of their lives because they believed in you. Yeah. Yeah. So, how about we pray? That just seems like a good idea for a spiritual hour. If you have any particular prayer requests, please just plop them on into the chat box and I will attempt to catch them. Thank you, Kirk. Oh, my people. So, put your requests in. Let's take a moment. And close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. If you need to leave them open for a moment so you can type in a prayer request, please do that. Otherwise, just soft focus. And take a breath. A deep breath if that's what your body needs right now. A gentle breath if gentling is what is called for. And know with me that Spirit, God, the force of creation, is all that there is. The creative, motivating force of the universe. What a thought. To know that if it is all that there is, then it is all that we are, and we then are also creative and motivating, because there's nothing else to be. Whew. Let it start, my friends. Let it start. Let that force come rolling from your heart. And if you need a light in the lonely night, carry God like a fire in your heart. I know that whatever it is any one of us thinks we need, Spirit is ready to answer. I know that each one of us thinking that we need something right now changes our mind to know that we have that is given, it is granted, it is ours, it is done. And what I know for each one of us, I know for our world, that peace prevails, that great minds and good hearts are even now working out the details, and peace prevails. All over the world, answers are found, solutions are uncovered, and peace prevails. And in that peace, a new reality. A world in which all people are respected, all people find love, all people are healed of their misconceptions. And all people in their own way acknowledge the presence of something greater that they can use. It sounds like a big order to me, but I know that it is not a big order for God. And I know that that which created this universe and universes beyond this universe is perfectly capable of answering this little prayer. Let it start now. Let peace prevail now. Let wholeness be the reality now, and let us live in that new reality as our new normal. Accepting that. Accepting that. And we do. We allow it to become. And so it does. And so it is. I love you all. It is, I think, a memorable Memorial Day. If it hasn't been for you yet, go make it one. I'll see you Wednesday. We already have our question. It's somewhere in the talk. We have our closing song. Thank you. Be sure and listen to the music. Have an amazing Memorial Day. Be amazing in it. I'll see you on Wednesday at 7. You go with God, because you can go no other way.